Hello everybody, welcome back to City Skylines, and today we're going to have a pretty short episode because it's pretty straightforward. It's just zoning, nothing too special. A few of you have told me that I keep saying, and I'm sorry, I'm going to try to keep it down. It's a bit of a habit, so I'm sorry. Now, zoning is pretty important because it's where people go to work, where people come from, and where people go to buy stuff. So there are 6 main zones that you should really know about. There's low-density residential, which is mainly used in suburbs and really rural areas. There's high-density residential, which, just like its name, it's very dense, usually like building to building, and it's often used in cities and, like downtown areas, generally just dense areas where you don't have that much room. Then there's low-density commercial, which in my opinion can be used almost anywhere. It's just like your average store that your citizens would go to on almost like a regular basis. Next we have high-density commercial, which I honestly use extremely rarely and very sparsely. It's really simple to just use Recode to place down the buildings that come with it, like malls, Best Buy, stuff like that. Just really larger stores in general. Next is commercial, which is factories that create, process, and handle goods for your offices and commercial buildings to handle. Offices should probably make up most of your downtown. Realistically, offices make up most of the city. It's where people travel to work, they commute there, and as well there are businesses in the downtown. You should probably maintain a ratio of like 60% offices to 40% commercial, all the way up to 70% offices, 30% commercial, which that will still be realistic. So before I start zoning, I'm actually going to create a district. Districts are actually really useful, and your downtown should probably be the largest district in your city, because the bigger the district, the less control you have over specific areas. The reason I'm creating a district is so I have unique policies for my downtown, and so I can set a theme to it, which will be applied to the buildings that grow there. So if you haven't noticed already, I called my city Grünstadt, and that's Green City in German. So I'm just calling my district Downtown Grünstadt because I'm just trying to be as organized as I can with my district. And I'm applying this Brooklyn, Manhattan sort of theme to it. You can find it on the workshop by Fine Build, I think it is. Really nice. It's dense, just like I want it, and I like how it looks. And like I said before, looks are really important in your city. Don't just focus on the functional things. You also want your city to look nice. Now I go ahead and actually start zoning. I first start by putting some commercial on main roads. This is just basically so I don't have trucks and commercial vehicles traveling and clogging up my little roads, because before I install transit, which will be the next episode, there's going to be a lot of traffic just by cars, and if we have all these cars as well as all these trucks, it's gonna just mess everything up. So now I'm starting to zone my residential, and of course completely forgot to place my services down. Just so you know, services aren't important at all. That's why we did a whole episode on them. Now I'm just putting down parking garages. Pretty straightforward. I have Traffic Manager President Edition, and I don't want vehicles to park on the sides of roads because I think it looks ugly. And I enabled the Advanced Parking AI, so I need to have parking spots available for vehicles. So as you can see, all the buildings are just slowly coming in. I have a really short-term energy connection. Eventually, when all the buildings are pretty close to each other, they'll have a straight connection to downtown, but right now it's just this really poorly built connection. I'm again just using these underground wires that I talked about and just putting them wherever I need to, and I can just delete them as the buildings grow. And here's the traffic I was talking about. We have all these vehicles all coming in through this one exit because I zoned so much high-density residential, and high-density residential takes up less space but has more households in it, which means more people. And also because it's a grid, which means I have a lot of area to work with, I'm gonna get a lot of people coming in. I've praised Traffic Manager a lot in this episode, but I'm not done yet. Another great feature, which I think I may have already mentioned in my road layouts, is the ability to remove traffic lights, add or remove. And especially near junctions like this, these where two large main roads are connecting, you don't want a whole bunch of traffic lights simultaneously following each other, because with this amount of traffic, it's just going to clog everything up. So I usually remove traffic lights depending on how wide apart the streets are spaced. I just remove them on a few junctions and keep a traffic light every 2 junctions or so just so there's still some sort of control of flow. Also, if you're playing on infinite budget, I would really recommend for you to increase your budget for services all the way up. It really extends the range to something way more realistic and just makes the game and services themselves less of a hassle. I don't want all the buildings in my city to be growables. I still want there to be some level of uniqueness and to have control over where the buildings go, what are they, how they look. And that's where the Reco mod and ploppable buildings come into play. The Reco mod, basically you can get assets from the workshop and it allows you to just put them wherever you want. You don't have to zone anything, you just put them. And there are these great residential buildings on the workshop by Vlad X Ladesh or something like that, some Russian name, and he makes these great contemporary Russian buildings. And what I like to do, as you saw me do there, is place a few of them down and then use Move It to just connect them into a complex. They look really nice and it's really simple to move them together. And I'm just repeating the same thing over here, except smaller buildings. I'm still leaving space for trees because, after all, my city is named Green City, so of course I still want to have green space. I know it probably makes sense for parking to go there, but that's why I have the 8-lane road. I'm just gonna put parking down the center there and have vehicles use the outer lanes. Not much to say here, just zoning some more and adding some parks to increase the land value, because buildings do require a certain land value and parks do increase that. I'm probably just gonna zone some more until traffic is just completely unbearable, and we'll do the transit episode. And yeah, that's it. So if you guys like this episode, if you found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and comment down below what you thought about it. Really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe, and yeah, Happy New Year!